Awesome. Okay. Well, we are live and welcome to a reboot of 20 questions with our famous, amazing, fabulous, incredibly talented authors. I am here today with Jordan Rosenfeld, who I love, love for a bajillion reasons, including that she's just a phenomenal author. And your book is officially available. I think it's Monday, right?
Sunday, yeah.
Sunday. Excuse me. Sunday.
After church.
We know what we're doing. So for anyone who's never seen this before, Jordan and I'm just going to toss out questions. Some may be relevant to her writing process, her book. A lot of them have nothing to do with nothing. It's just because it's fun.
I love it.
If you're watching and you're like, well, I want to bug her, you can. I promise you. You just put your questions into the comments section of whatever venue you're watching this. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, and we're on LinkedIn. So with all of that, so Jordan, before we dive into it all, would you tell people about your fabulous book and about you?
You know, authors are the worst at our elevator pitches, right? So I'll be like, it's a book. There's some people in it.
All right. They do stuff. They get in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I guess really it's, I was up at 4:30, I have to tell you. So it is an eco thriller in which a grief-stricken mother hooks up with some eco-anarchist women to take down dirty energy companies and sets off a chain reaction of chaos and more. And that's Fallout, of course. And I am an author of several novels, Fallout, Women and Red, and Forged in Grace, and 7 books on the craft of writing, including a new one that comes out next year called The Sound of Story. So I freelance, write, edit, teach, dance, sing. No, actually I have no dancing or singing skills. Don't ask for that.
That's okay.
That's about it.
You can pretend.
Yeah, I mean, I can fake it.
Yeah. That's what lip syncing is for.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So I'm going to go into the question. So my first question for you, what is the first book you remember reading?
Okay, that's easy. That would be C Spot Run.
Nuh-uh, you remember that?
So no, I do. Here's the thing. I say it as a joke, but the truth is I remember learning to read in I think it was first grade, like probably learned the letters in kindergarten. I remember the light bulb going on. I remember the just joy of being able to read. And so, yeah, I remember those Spot books and,
cool.
Still at it.
All right. Now, who is your favorite author in general?
Oh God, in general? No, sorry, can't answer that. I can't, you know what? I literally can't answer that because I have too many. I read so much, but I was thinking about like genres, like in the kind of psychological thriller genre, which is what I sort of aim to write. I am in love with this author named Megan Abbott. And she has feels like she's putting out a book every year, but the book that kind of put her on the map was called Dare Me. And it was about like obsessive cheerleaders, but it's very dark and gritty. So I highly recommend. Yeah.
Ooh.
Big fan.
All right. Dare Me. Okay.
Dare Me. Yeah, you'd like it.
Now, who influenced you the most in your writing? That's going to be another, I just can't tell you, but you're going to have to. So pop.
I came up with some. No, I tried. I did. I was like, I think I'm going to go with Anne Rice, Toni Morrison, and Louise Erdrich. So a little bit of literary, a little bit of horror, a little bit more literary.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, I think those were very pivotal authors that I read when I was younger.
Okay.
Keep reading.
Yeah. Which books do you feel made the biggest impact on you?
Yeah, actually, so the book that made one of the biggest impacts turned out that the author, so this book I read when I swear to God, my mother was there, she can prove it. It's called The Mists of Avalon, and it was like 1,000 pages. and I was 10 or 11 when I read it.
Oh, wow. Check you
And my
out.
teacher did not even believe. Well, we didn't have like YA or middle grade at the time. Not really. There was
Mm-mm.
just like books, but and it's this like epic fantasy retelling of Arthurian legend through the eyes of the women.
Mm.
Unfortunately, Marion Zimmer Bradley, the author, turned out to become quite evil. She was an evil person. I found out things about her later on. So, but I'm like, you know what? The book influenced me, even though she turned out to be evil. That, and then I would say probably Barbara Kingsolver, like The Bean Trees or Louise Erdrich,
Mm.
Tales of Burning Love. These just really like character driven, passionate little stories that, yeah, I don't know, with great writing.
Yeah, love it. Okay. If there was one book that you could read for the rest of your life and it cannot be See Spot Run.
Such a good book, though. First of all, those are horrible. You're giving me like a death sentence to tell me I could only read one book the rest of my life. But
How about I could change it to like 3. You have
no,
3
no.
books.
What I thought about how I would answer this was something epic, probably written by a woman, like fantasy. Something like I'm a really big fan of N.K. Jemisin and Nnedi Okorafor, who both write very
Yes.
epic stuff, and I feel like I could just get lost. Like, so there's a brand new book I recently read called Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor.
Oh my God, she's brilliant.
She's brilliant, you know her, and
Mm,
that book, like, I feel like I could read that book over and over and get something new out of it every time.
love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you reread all the time?
You know, a good friend was just asking me this, and I don't reread whole books only because there's so many books I want to read on my stack. But I
Mhm.
do reread passages because I do a lot of teaching and writing craft books, so I have to kind of constantly. So, and you get a good little feel for a book when you flip through you kind of skim read. So,
Mm.
I reread a lot of things that I've just read so I can talk about them and teach them. Yeah, but
Oh,
no
that's
single book.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Um, what book would you save in a book burning?
I would just take down the person burning them. God,
I know,
that
right?
flamethrower on him. I again, no, too many. All books
Okay.
are precious. Maybe I know, like unless they were burning something written by like, I don't know, Tucker Carlson, in which case I'd probably just let it burn. But sorry, no offense to your audience, but whoever's out there,
Mhm.
most books are worth saving.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in. I'm in. And what inspired you to write Fallout?
It's a combination of things. I'd say some mother anxiety I had because my son was pretty little,
Mm,
kind of coupled with climate grief. We were in really bad California drought at the time I was starting it. And also a really big fan of like stories in which women take power and do things, even if sometimes they go mad with power. Just like women pursuing justice kind of thing.
okay.
Combo. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, and who did you allow to read the book while you were writing it?
I have learned that I can't let anybody read my work until I'm pretty much done with the draft.
Really?
Yeah, not until I have a full draft. Any negative criticism in the very early stages, can throw me
Mhm.
off. I did let, like, I had gotten to a stuck point, and I let a couple of my friends read it when like, I'd been stuck for a while, like
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And so my friend Laurel read it, and she actually gave me some good feedback at that point. So that was the only exception, really.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Um, if you were at a dinner party with 4 seats, what I'm just gonna say 4 people would you invite?
I fell out on this one. I started it thinking about it and then I just fell apart because again, I get overwhelmed when the choices are too big. Like the first person I did think of was Octavia Butler,
Ooh.
who is an incredible writer whose uh, science fiction was like almost seemed like prescient, like she knew what was coming, but she was just, I think, really wise.
Mm,
Um, I think it would be a mix. I'm not going to come up with I would say I would probably want like I'd love to talk to one of those like futurists who can see patterns of like what's coming. Um, and
ooh, yeah.
definitely a
Mhm,
writer,
mhm,
probably some other artist in another medium that is not
mhm.
my own, like an actor or a visual painter, and like a physicist. That would
Ooh.
work. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what's your drug of choice?
So I would have once said coffee, but I can't handle that much caffeine, so now it's matcha green tea. I know. It's really
Okay.
I like a glass of wine, but I don't, gotta be
Mm.
careful with the wine at my age.
No comment.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, no comment.
So what movie or TV show is like your guilty pleasure?
Okay, so this I actually don't really subscribe to guilty pleasures, but when
My
I was
real pleasure.
watching yeah, it's just pleasure. But I will say, Virgin River is the schlockiest show I have ever been unable to stop watching.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix. It started in the pandemic when we were all kind of desperate and locked up, and so I started watching it and I was like, the acting is terrible, the writing is terrible, why am I still watching it? But I am. And I've heard from other people they had the same feeling about it.
I
So,
mean,
you gotta watch it now.
sometimes if it's like a total train wreck, you're like, I have to keep
It is.
watching it just because it's a train wreck.
I think it's because it reminded me of the soap operas of my childhood, that I watched or my teenage years.
I could see that.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I could. Oh my God, the soap operas of our childhood. Dear God, they
Oh, I
were
mean, they were
so
ridiculous.
awful.
Yeah, it's just like a modern, soap opera.
Oh boy, it's
I
like.
know, right? I know.
um. Okay, so do you read with music or quiet or some other kind of sound? Or well, write rather. Do you write? Sorry.
Writing, I prefer silence or, like, I can write if there's, like, background noise, like, if I'm at a cafe or something
Mhm.
kind of where I'm not tuning in, but if I put music on my desk and try to write, even if it has no lyrics, my brain's like, "Nope, can't do it." So that's interesting.
Cool. Um, Now, if you could ask for one thing to change the world, what would it be?
Stop wars that are killing children. Sorry to go
I'm
dark.
I'm
Like,
in with that. Yeah,
can we just stop it already?
yeah, yeah. Um, what does your reading environment look and sound like?
My reading or my writing?
Um, Actually, let's do both.
Um, so my reading environment is my bed, which is delightful. My husband and I got these beds that it's technically two beds and they raise and lower like hospital beds with this little
Yes,
oh my
yes.
god, best thing we ever did. I love them. So my bed is like I can make it the perfect setting with the pillows and raised or lowered.
Mm,
My bedroom's very peaceful.
mm.
And I mostly read at night before bed. And then my writing space, you're looking at it, except I'm on the other side of it. So I write in my office first thing in the morning before work.
Mhm.
And I've got a lot of good light, so I can look out at my garden's mostly just like dry succulents, but sometimes there's
You
a cat
didn't have
walking
to
back and forth.
tell.
Mhm.
You didn't
What?
have to tell on yourself.
Well,
Like,
you might not even believe me. Maybe it's really a beautiful, lush rose garden for all you know.
yeah, and I would believe it.
Yeah. Well, it's partly just the climate here gets so hot in
Mm,
this particular valley. We're kind of almost in not quite a valley, but kind of, and just
mhm.
so nothing else will stay alive in the summer.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, do you prefer paper, ebook, or audio?
I actually read in all three formats,
Mm,
and I prefer them for different reasons. So I prefer to read a paper book when possible, but just old school.
yeah.
But I like the Kindle because I can make the font size bigger, like ebooks. But then I don't
Oh,
like, I'd rather support the paper book. And then I love audiobooks because I can multitask. So I could
mm,
do chores, I could drive, I could I can do other things while I'm listening to a book. So I
got
call
it.
that reading.
No, that totally, all of my like reading, well, not all of it, but a lot of it for pleasure is audio
Yeah, I think a
because,
lot more people are that way.
yeah, because like by the time, like, I will often read before bed and that'll be paper, but like if I'm going anywhere and I will pick up an audiobook. So same.
Totally.
Okay. Who would you cast as your main characters and why?
So the only character who's just been really clear to me is my main character, Justine. So I saw this one of the seasons of the show called Fargo that they re-aired,
Yeah.
or they rebooted.
Mm.
And the actress Juno Temple, who was also in Ted Lasso, she plays this like she seems really frail on the outside, which is exactly how I picture my character, like kind of just physically a little frail, and then she's just like this badass like spine of steel. And so when I saw her in that, I was like, how do I get on the phone to Juno Temple? Juno, if you're watching, because yeah, she's amazing. So it's
Cool.
just funny. I haven't let myself really visualize the other characters as actors yet, so I'm going to think about that some more.
Mm. If you could meet anyone, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
Oh gosh, I don't think that one's on my. Oh yeah, it is on my list.
You're like, God damn it.
I'm not good at the ask. I would be like the invasive, like asking all the questions, like tell me everything about you. I was like, I just kind of thought. Of course, what came to mind again was writers. So I was like, oh, James Baldwin, Sylvia Plath, Toni Morrison. I'd want to know. I'd want to probe their like writing process, their creative process, and also I'd want to know just like all the stuff you can't know from like a surface interview, because all of those people had either written, or even videoed interviews with them, but I'd want to go even deeper. I'd be like, let's get a drink and like, let's talk about the real shit.
Nice. All right. Okay. Describe yourself in 5 words.
All right. Chatty, creative, bossy, as some people in my life would say.
Oh, okay.
She's all no. Goofy. I know you agree with that one. And loving. I'm a lover.
Awesome. And describe your life in 5 words.
I would say full, like in a good way, like full. Midlife. I'm in midlife, in the throes of that. Connected. Like I feel purposeful and transforming.
Cool. Oh my gosh, I love it. If you could write yourself into a novel, would you be the hero or the villain, and why?
Of course, the villain, because villains have more fun. They get to be bad. Who doesn't want to be bad?
That's true. Okay. Is there anyone you dream you could work with, and why?
Well, Reese Witherspoon and I need to have a confab. I think that
That'd be fun.
she and I need to work together on her book club. That
Duh.
If not Reese, Oprah and I could also have a chat.
Yeah. Okay.
It's hard to conceive of as a writer because I write so alone, but there are a lot of brilliant people out there that who knows.
Yeah. Excuse me. 2 truths and a lie.
Okay, I had to write these down. Okay. Okay. A screenplay I co-authored was optioned by a major studio.
Okay.
I hung out with George Lucas at a party.
Okay.
I taught creative writing to scientists in Norway.
Ooh. I actually believe all of them, so I'm not helpful.
There's a real lie in there, I swear.
How about the first one?
Was that the screenplay one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the lie.
No way!
I don't write screenplay.
Okay, cool.
Nor have I had anything optioned, but.
All right. If someone offered you an option, I'm sure you'd be like, yeah, I'll just learn how to do it.
I would. Seriously, I'd be like, crash course on screenwriting to this weekend.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
What animal would you run wild with?
Some kind of wildcat, like jaguar or tiger or something. Yeah.
Okay.
My cat thinks he's a wildcat, so just to blow him up real big. Pickles the wildcat.
let's see. When was the last time you ran wild, and what did you do, and what made it wild?
This is just so telling of like how exciting my life is that I couldn't think of anything very exciting. So the only thing I could think of was this one time we had like one of those drenching rainstorms, and I was like, I looked at my husband, I was like, "Do you dare me to go run out there naked?" And he's all, "Yeah, of course he's really going to turn that down." And I
Right?
did, and I did, and it was I just wanted that exhilarating feeling of like shocking cold water on my body. It was hilarious and fun and spontaneous, but it was only in my backyard, so there was no, well, I mean, potentially neighbors could have seen, but
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
they'd have to be actively trying.
Yeah. Um, Disney, Universal, Warner Brothers, or some other studio?
I'm gonna make a lot of people mad here because I don't really care. That's the answer. I don't have a skin in the game. Like,
Okay.
sure, they're all good or not.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay. And what's on your music playlist?
Kinda probably like indie chick rock, some Billie Eilish, some like Beth Orton. Not I'm not I feel like this is how I feel. I stopped like really learning new music when
Mhm.
between CDs and the MP3 player, like before the iPod. So now I'm on Spotify or whatever,
Mm.
and I feel like I'm like relearning this whole world of music that just because for I was a radio baby. I grew up in the 80s, That's
Yeah,
how we
yeah.
got our music. This whole like having to search out music thing isn't how it worked. It just came to your ears and you went, "Oh, who's that?" Feels so old. Uh at least culturally. So
Well,
yeah.
um, appetizers or dessert?
Both.
Duh.
I have to choose. I mean, if you're gonna make me choose, yeah, both.
um, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate. But
Oh,
I won't turn away from vanilla. Like I don't hate it.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And is there anything else that you want to share?
I want to remind people to support the arts more
Mm,
than ever right now, and particularly like marginalized artists, but also like small presses and indie houses of any kind that make music, art, books, because we need it more than ever.
oh yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, as always, love, love, love you.
Love
And
you.
congratulations again, not just on Fallout, but on all your amazing endeavors. Anyone
Thank you.
watching, don't forget, pick up Fallout. A link to it, bookshop.org, is in the, uh, what do you call it? Banner?
Yeah, it's a banner.
In the banner. Yeah, and that's it. So,
Yeah.
um, love you. I will see you soon. And for everyone who is
Yay.
watching, thank you so, so much. We truly appreciate every moment you spend with us.
Thank